Hello, welcome to Redmen TV. The transfer window's shut, and here is our transfer window roundup special. The first part, we're going to be looking at the outs. That's players that we've sold, players that we've loaned out, analysing whether we feel there's any good moves out there, whether we've held out nicely in the transfer market, any regrets, any players that we could live to regret in terms of letting them go, and players that we feel have still got a future at Liverpool Football Club in terms of the loans, and a whole lot more as well. So stay tuned for the next 50 minutes for the sake of argument, maybe longer, maybe slightly shorter. Chris is here, Aubrey's here, there are some whiteboards here and some magnets and some whiteboard pens and some printouts. What more could you possibly ask for? Chris,
Redmen TV, man.
This is how we do. I think it's worth looking at. Let's start with the figure to some extent, Chris.
Okay,
We've sold and let go a lot of players in the window, leading to a sum total of, can't read it from here, 77.8 million. Now, bear in mind that there will be varying figures out there depending on your source. We've used This Is Anfield as the source because we like them, we know them, and they're dead easy to blame if this is wrong.
Yeah.
At This Is Anfield on Twitter. I am at. So, yeah. In a very top-line sense then, Chris, are you happy with the transfer business that Liverpool did in general, and then in the outs department?
Oh, 100%. I'm actually buzzing with what we've done this window. I think what we've done is we've evolved our transfer strategy from ins. I think we've held out now for a few years to make sure that we get the right price when we're buying players. And this, for me, is the first summer when we've taken that policy and applied it to the outs as well at the same time. So I think we've held out for large amounts of figures for players, where in the past we'd maybe have sold them for a lot cheaper. For example, Brad Smith's a really good example of that. I think £6 million this summer is brilliant for him. In summers gone by, maybe 2, 3 is maybe what we would have been getting for someone like a Smith.
A million quid?
Yeah.
Not.
So you don't even need to say maybe summer's gone by. Last summer, he was released.
Well, he was.
Didn't have his age ran out. He didn't have a contract, but we wouldn't release his player details. And he was talking to like the likes of Barnsley and I can't remember. I'm going to throw Coventry in there, but I don't think it was Coventry. And they were like, Tribunal's going to be set at around about $750,000, $1 million. We can't afford that. So he couldn't get a move, and it wasn't until Klopp came in into October. He was like, well, that's a bit harsh on this lad. Yeah. And also let's get him in and have a look at him, and started using him.
Yeah, and let's get £6 million for him.
But the fact of the matter, you look at that, and that's an inflation of the transfer market in general. You look at the money that's flooded into it, but also a couple of games for Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp excites a few players, puts a few decent crosses in, and Bournemouth go. He can be our backup. He's not played for Bournemouth yet. He can be our backup left back. £6 million for a backup left back that we literally would have took if Barnes would have said, yeah, we'll meet your tribunal fee of £1 million. We'd have got $1 million for him last summer. It's amazing.
We saw Bournemouth coming a mile off this summer, didn't we?
Oh yeah, big time. Like 15 million for Jordan Ibe as well.
Let's hope, but in 2 years' time, when we've paid 30 million on a buyback and 20 million on a buyback, maybe they saw us coming. But at the moment, we definitely. This
is an evolution of the strategy, isn't it? Because until this summer, we've not been doing buybacks, and Jordan Ibe did have the potential 18 months ago to go on and become a 30-40 million pound player, and we've got first option on him. Basically.
Well, this is it, because we'll come on to talk about the loans, but I think you're dead right, Chris, in the evolution of the strategy. I don't know, I don't think there is one on Smith, but there's defo a buyback. There's defo a buyback on Ibe, and there's defo one on Canos.
There's one here.
Yeah. You could have put that in green.
I'm sorry. I could have, but I didn't.
And in uppercase, like all the rest of the writing on there.
Yeah. And just, in legible handwriting would have been cool.
But those three, and I think they're the only three. But I think they're the only three on the board.
Yeah.
Who you'd want the buyback on.
Yeah. I'm not even asked about Smith. I don't think he's gonna. Yeah. I don't think he's gonna break through. But the Canos one, I mean, it's evidenced by if Sergio Canos had just been at Liverpool last season, we actually probably could have got more than 2.5. I know it actually is probably more than 2.5 all told with extras and what have you. But the Ibe one is just out of this world. That's got to be the best bit of business that anyone's done.
I remember a week before that signing went through, we were talking about 8 million or 4 million quid to West Bromwich Albion or something like that. And then all of a sudden it broke and we were laughing about it in the office. You know, Liverpool fans around the world were laughing. 15 million quid for a guy who'd basically done nothing for a year now. Scored on the last game of the season. That's probably added a few million for it, but that's essentially
against
for us.
That was against
West
Brom.
Brom.
He played really well against Bournemouth, didn't he? Away. But look, like you asked Chris the question, rate the transfer window. I actually think our transfer window was just a bit above average because of the ins, and I think we might reject that, and I'll talk about that on the second part. But if I was rating our outs, it's like a 9 out of 10. The only thing that stops it from being a 10 out of 10 for me is Markovic's name not being on there with a big fee attached to it.
We'll come to that in 2 seconds. Then let's stick with the positive side of it for now. I mean, again, it's littered with brilliant bits of business. £5.5 million for Martin Scale.
To be honest, you actually look at just them as a 4. If we were sitting here and we had done a show similar to this at the windows closing, Joe, the season just finished, and we said, look, we imagine these are our outs, and everyone on that side, it was pretty obvious, maybe Benteke. But we were like, would we sell Skirtle? Would we sell Allen? Would we sell Ibe? Would we sell Smith? And then you'd go, okay, let's say we sell them. How much money do you reckon we'll raise out of them? I'd have said quarter of that.
Let's put us back into the position of, as we sort of said before, Liverpool of a couple of seasons ago. You're probably looking at, I think actually the Skirtle one probably would have been there or there. I think 4 or 5. You might, just because he's an international and people think he's better than he is. And Fenerbahce do spend, that's their pool of what they pay for. But Joe Allen, we'd have sold Joe Allen for 8.
Yeah.
We'd have sold Jordan Ibe for 3 or 4.
5.
We'd have given Brad Smith away for none. So straight off the bat there, it's we again, the Jordan Ibe one totally blows it out of the water in terms of all that. But again, I'm chuffed with how we've handled that. It's because we are, for the first time, and that's it for the first time, we've had isolated cases over the years, selling Bellamy, selling Couch, being we got a good value for them. It's the first time we've gone, and if we've gone, let's just say hypothetically, we've gone to buy these players from those teams. Let's just say they're already there and we've gone into transfer market to buy them. That's a reasonable amount of money that we would have paid for all of those players. And so but as we say, Liverpool in the past wouldn't have sold them for that. So we've actually gone, no, fuck you. Just because we want rid doesn't mean we have to sell them for whatever.
An example of this is the Alberto deal. Obviously, it went through last week, didn't it? Deportivo La Coruña were interested for £3 million. We apparently knew, and this is according to Tony Barrett, this isn't something I've worked out, we apparently knew that Deportivo La Coruña were about to sell Perez to Arsenal for a big sum of money. Yeah. And we were like, we're not taking £3 million for him. And then we ended up selling him to Lazio for 4.3. And that's us just holding on there.
And there's rising clauses on that. Yeah. So that's the minimum we're going to get.
He's actually got the best of them as well, because we'll talk about Benteke in a second, but of the Alberta ones, they're like Champions League qualification, which is what the Benteke ones were, except it's fucking Crystal Palace. Yeah. Whereas Lazio is not outside I think it's actually maybe European qualification, so if they get into like the Europa League or whatever, then it's a little bit more money. They're actually quite reasonable. They're the kind of ones that that are options in computer games, not like if he manages to drive over 5,000 miles in his car, we'll give you an extra 50p, that kind of stuff.
And the kicker is he's got a black box so he can't, because his insurance goes up.
Yeah, exactly that, yeah. His car's actually on a chain to the car park.
The other one on there, just because he's not got a picture, that is really good value. 4 million for Sinclair at Watford.
Yeah. Problem child as well.
You look at all of that, you go, okay, first of all, doesn't want to play for us. So that's, there you go, get rid. And also, no matter how good he's going to be or whatever you think of him. Secondly, he started in that, or he came on against West Brom in Rodgers' first season in the League Cup. And I remember him kicking on well from then. Now he's disappeared, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So to get 4 million, and I don't know whether he actually did go out or not, but there was rumours of Watford loaning him out to Norwich around the transfer deadline day. So they've brought him in. Like, actually, you're not going to come straight into the first team. Now, in 2 or 3 years' time, he might be playing for Watford.
2 or 3 years' time, he might be about 26.
Yeah.
But you know, that's the thing, isn't it? So again, another one of those, like 4 million. You're looking at a world where 4 million for Watford, 4 million for Sinclair from Watford, 2.5 million from Keynos.
Well, the Canos thing is that...
And Alberto, we were just not even in the pit.
Well, let's look at because I think that the Alberto one, he's gotten that two very good loan spells back home, hasn't he? Whereas you look at the Canos one, so Jerome Sinclair, Liverpool's youngest ever player, promised much, delivered little. He was still scoring goals for the under-21s. He's still scoring a really good rate at that level. But Canos went and got a loan in the Championship, was one of the better players in that league, and a good side as well for Brentford. You know, beloved by their fans. You know, put some really, really outstanding performances. £2.5 million. Jerome Sinclair, fuck all, has had, 2 or 3 first-team appearances total for Liverpool, and not even 90 minutes within them. £4 million.
Yeah.
Someone's...
An FA Cup...
I can't remember, actually, was that a tribunal fee?
I don't even think so. I think it was... I can't remember it being... We're an FA Cup goal away at Exeter. Obviously, he's worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
In the eyes of either a tribunal or of Watford. Because he gets that one goal and he's £4 million. It's just unbelievable. And he's someone that most Liverpool fans... Because he was that inconsequential to our performances in our teams last season, for the last few seasons, definitely last season, you'd forget he'd even gone. He was announced around about the time of the release list, wasn't it? Where you're looking at because again, the example to be would be Teixeira and Rossiter are about average to what we used to get for players that we just got rid of, like $250,000, a little bit of money coming in there. But then the fact that you've bumped these fellas up to the money that you've got,
and also, I mean, Teixeira, you can see down here, $250,000, Rossiter $250,000. They were tribunal fees. You know, that wasn't even Liverpool. You know, that was it. They're under an age. The tribunal sets the fee. There's nothing we could have done about that, was there?
If Teixeira had joined, if he'd have joined an English club, it would have been a lot more. The fact that he's gone back to Portugal, and again, you can't be bastards. Like I remember doing the news during the summer, and Alex Beale come out with a really good quote, and it was
Michael
about
Beale or Alex Inglethorpe.
Michael Beale then, was it? And he basically said about Ibe and Smith, that combined 21 million runs the academy for 4 years.
Yeah.
That's what we need to start doing. We need to start producing youngsters. And he said we need to start giving back into football, and it's not just giving back into the first team. Ideally, every year we'll give one player to Jurgen Klopp who's first team ready. Then we'll produce 2 or 3 who will get sold to fund it. And then the third one is we need to start giving back to these players. I sit across the table from them when they're 7 or 9, talk to their parents, convince them to join Liverpool Football Club because we will make you a professional footballer. And in the past, they were going far too way down the leagues. Yeah. And you actually look at where these players are going. Like, they're going to Norwich, team that's only just been relegated, who's looking to come back into the Premiership. Watford is a Premiership team. Bournemouth looking to stay in the Premiership. Yeah. We're actually sending them out at a high level now as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
4 years ago, we'd have been sitting here with Nathan Eccleston going to Morecambe.
Yeah. You're dead. Well, you're dead, right? Look what happened to Adam Morgan, goes to Yeovil, doesn't he? And nothing, basically that's almost the end of his career by all accounts. These players, it's a sign that it's for the first time ever, it's working. No, it's not working because you'd like to see more. And I guess if Shea Ojo starts the season, he maybe plays against Burnley and he has a deciding factor, and everyone feels a lot better about those kind of things. And again, if we see a little bit of Trent Alexander-Arnold this season, maybe that'll balance out. But for the first time, at least that part of it's working, because exactly dead right there. We're now sending players to the Premier League for the first time. Whether they're Premier League players next season is a different story altogether. But that's, as you say, there's 3 players there. Plus, you've got John Flanagan out on loan at Burnley as well. Whereas you can look at the other end. You saw Lloyd Jones going to like a League One. But that's where we were sending all of our players out on loan. That's where our players were. League One was the level that we were going to. Ryan Kemp was
never
going
get any higher either. Yeah. That's the thing.
They'd mill around.
Even if we've just convinced Bournemouth and Norwich that these are Premier League players for now, that's an improvement. Yeah. Even if they then go down the league, tumbling down the league.
And it's kind of up to them then, isn't it? We've done our... Where does
not our problem, is it? Yeah.
Where does responsibility last? They've brought them through the youth system, and you're looking at a Sergio Keynos. It's all in his hands now. He got brought in from Liverpool's youth system. We sent him out to Brentford. He massively impressed at Brentford. Several teams in the Championship wanted him. we've got a buyback on him because we still think he could prove it. He goes and plays. It's the Brannigan quote, isn't it? When Brannigan was talking about going out on loan, he wants to go and play against men. Well, he proved he could play against men last year. He goes and does. Norwich are expected to challenge to come back up. He could be a Premiership footballer within a year's time, playing in the Premiership. He could impress so much. Norwich don't get promoted, or Norwich do. Yeah. And someone goes, you know what? 8 million on that kid. Because he's going to run our midfield. Yeah. But it's down to him now. You do have to say your responsibility's gone. We're selling them to with most of these players, and even the loans, to get them moved on to places where they should have a chance to kick on.
Oh, that's it. You know, in the second part, we're going to be talking about the signings and rating them, and even some of the failed signings or whatever over the window. But you look at again, we'll do it in more detail, but we're bidding for Pulisic, we're looking at Dahoud. We'll actually come next summer. These guys will be back, you know, it'll be laid out on a table, X Factor, judges' houses style, and there will be that, like, look, here's our budget, who do we want back? Well, we could get Ard back, we can get Smith up, we can get Carnos back, well, or we could pay this money for these. It's entirely up to these guys whether they think that they can build their careers back up and what have you. But like I say, it comes down to amazing business on that regard.
We've not even spoken about him. Let's just say he's on $100,000 a week. That's like £5.2 million a year we've saved there.
I think we'll come on to, I guess, like the disappointments in the window to some extent. And Balotelli, it sounds a weird segue because it doesn't quite fit, because it's not a disappointment as such. But I've seen a lot of people complaining about this, so I think it's worth touching upon.
So we didn't get anything for him?
Well, yeah, look, I don't think it's worth us doing a big jig over it, because there's 16 million quid that we've pissed away, and that's not the good thing. Is that's not the current manager's doing, because ultimately, you know, the second Balotelli set foot in the football club, we all knew it wasn't a good move, but it was. But you know, we've subsequently seen, haven't we? That is for me, that's our biggest defeat. Even though it's a win, and I think every one of us is happy to have him not at Liverpool anymore. You can't say that it doesn't undo all the great business we've done there. But
it takes, to be honest, it does, doesn't it? On purely, football's a business, and there is going to be someone at Liverpool Football Club who's looking at spreadsheets and stuff, and you look over it across the period of time. The money that we've made by being cannier on these players gets wiped out by the 16 million we didn't recruit on Balotelli. Now, next summer, we don't have that albatross around our neck. So when we do clever business on your Ryan Kents, on your Brannigans, etc., whoever would be in that camp, we keep that money then. You know what I mean? So it's actually really good for us, because we'll have learned the lessons from this business, especially if your likes of Kanos and Smith and Ard go on to do well. Because other clubs are going to be like, actually, well, let's keep doing business, because they sold them last year. They went on to do well. But you can't deny the fact that that's a former Italian international who's still at a decent age going for free. Yeah. And now, if you had a nice 6 million, 8 million next to his name, possibly a Chinese club underneath it, you'd have sat here and gone, fucking fantastic business. Yeah. And that's the only reason I don't think it was that great. There was no one in it. I don't think there's anyone we sold that I didn't want us to keep. Yeah. And there's the fact that I'd have liked, if Markovic isn't in his plans, he looks like he's going the Aquilani route. Whereas second year of loaning out, does that ever really work? He's getting older. He's a lot older than the other lads who are going to be on the loans board that we'll talk about in a minute. I'd have liked to have seen Markovic on here for like 10, 12 million, and 8 million next to Balotelli's name, and I'd have rated it 10 million, 10 out of 10. I
just don't agree on the Balotelli stuff, to be honest with you. I'm not happy that he's gone out, but I'm not bothered that he's gone out for free, and I don't care if we got 5 million quid for him. And the reason is, Klopp has talked about, when he's come into this club, he's talked about building a team spirit. Right? You've saved £5.2 million, let's say. That's only if he's on 100k a week. What have you done to the development of youth players? Yeah. Because he's shit for that. Yeah. And he fucking sucks around. He sucks around Melwood and all that. And he's dragging the rest of the players down. And if he stunts their development, he could end up costing us more money down the line by stunting 10 players' development than the £6 million.
Oh, at no point would I advise us to keep him. And I think it's obvious. He went on the transfer deadline day. We were trying to get a move from all year.
The law of diminishing returns on Balotelli, which has been the story of his career. I think I'm amazed that we couldn't find someone to pay a bit of money for him. Is the issue, and whether that's just his agent or whether that, you know, just kind of because he's agitated a lot after the fact, hasn't he? And whether it's a bit of a finger up to Liverpool for the way they've treated Balotelli. I don't know, but there is, considering that we were able to get 15 million for Ibe and we managed to get our money back on Benteke largely and all that done, it's still it doesn't go in the win column for Liverpool. Ultimately, it goes in the. I think it goes in the. It doesn't go in the defeat column either. But again, you can't take you can't lose £16 million on a footballer and walk away saying you've done a good thing there.
I don't know. There's no point in me arguing the case much more, but I genuinely think you can. Yeah. I think you can with Mario Balotelli, because if someone would have paid money for him, they'd have paid money. The fact is, we were his last chance.
Yeah.
We were his last chance. They'd already had 2 last chances. We were his genuine last chance at football.
But again, look, is that our fault for not? Because it was clear from the moment he came back that he was nowhere. You know what I mean? We didn't even bother with the pretense. And you're totally right. I get the reason why, because don't have him. Just don't have him near your squad if he's a. But
if we're talking to America, you're saying they may have been
exactly, because that's it.
You can't put a value on what we've hopefully saved by getting rid of him. Yeah. And the fact is, I think Liverpool have tried all summer long to get some money for him. I don't think that's in doubt. The fact of the matter is, nobody out there was willing to pay the money for him and could pay his wages.
Yeah.
It was never a loss because there was never a win there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
no.
okay.
So I think for me, the biggest disappointment of the whole thing, because the Teixeira one, yeah, again, in terms of the money, but we let his contract run down and he was never going to negotiate a new contract when he wasn't playing football at his age in particular. And I'm glad he's got to move to Porto and it looks like he's having a good time there and stuff, because that's great for him. The Rossiter one's a big one for me, because that, again, and this is the thing, this is legacy from the previous regime, but Jordan Rossiter, and I know you could say, well, he's gone to Rangers. If he's gone to Rangers, he can't have been that good, yada, yada, yada. But I'm disappointed that we've not managed that situation better, because that contract should have been sorted.
Sign a 1-year contract extension.
Well, no, but again, that should have been sorted the year before. That should have been sorted last summer or whatever, because he was rated. And this is a kid who's still playing for the England, he's still working through his way through the England setup. So he's not terrible. He's still at the best, amongst the best players in his age range. So I know that there's not been more done with that, and I wonder whether just circumstances conspired against him. He got injured when Klopp very first came in, because Klopp was livid with the way he was being handled by
England. Them as horses, didn't he?
Exactly, at the time. And the fact that someone who's got, who never put a foot wrong in the Liverpool first team, when you consider we're getting £4 million for Jerome Sinclair, Jordan Rossiter's going to go on and have a good solid. I don't think he'll be world beater material, but I think he'll go on and have a really good career. Only getting $250,000 for him rankles a little bit, and that for me is a disappointment. But again, we have not really talked about him. Biggest win really has got to be the Christian Benteke. Got to be Benteke. Apart from Ibe.
Yeah, Ibe's the biggest win.
Who, again, for exactly the same reasons we've discussed for all these other things, Chris. £15 million, I think we all expected we'd get for Benteke.
Yeah. Again, it's not so much the figure with how we dealt with it that impressed me the most. It's the holding out. What was the first offer that they came in with? It was something round about, was it 14 or something? And they ended up signing him for 27 million. Yeah. And that's just, it's what I said it at the top of the show. We started doing that and haggling with people on the ins a couple of years ago, but now we're standing firm on the outs as well. And it's like, look, the guy scored, was it 11 goals or 9 goals last season in the Premier League? That's still a good return. Just because Liverpool fans didn't like him, we're not going to have our hands tied on what price we think. Klopp said again, he expects to get value from his transfer ins and he expects to get value from his transfer out. And I think on the whole, you can see that has been evidenced. And Christian Benteke probably highlights that more than anything. And actually, in fairness, when you saw some of the prices of players that were similar to him after the fact, I'm not sure we got as much as we could have done.
I was just about to say, it's a win. It's got to be a win, because that will rise, because he'll hit most of his targets for Palace. He's not going to get them into the Champions League. They're not going to win the league. He'll score 10 goals if that's one of the targets. He'll possibly get close to 20, because they're going to be set up to get this guy goals. If he carries on playing for Belgium, which he should do, that'll probably be one of the targets. So I reckon that'll go up to around about 30 million. which is good. We should never have been taking 14 or 15 million and cutting our nose off to spite our face, so quickly. And I'm glad that we did. But that club sold a player who's got 9 goals in 4 seasons. Is it? Or was it 4?
Something ridiculous.
So Balassi, I don't know, he's a winger, but he's an attacking player. They sold him for more money they paid us for a fella who's in the top 100 Premiership strikers already. Yeah. He's been here for 4 years and he's got something like, I think he's got up to 80 goals in the Premier League. Shit. Actually, when you've got players, and I know there's an element of moving down, he's going to lead the line. He's going to be a main man for Crystal Palace this year. I reckon we could have haggled in this market where there's a lot of money and people are flush for possibly a little bit more. But I'm still not going to... that's the hypothetical. Yeah. I'm glad that he's not playing for us because he was going to be our fifth choice striker.
You're playing Pontoon there, aren't you? And you've reached a point, and I think we've been very brave, a bravery stroke luck to some extent, and I think you're on that thing where we could have let that run till deadline day, I think, and probably got someone, someone would have thrown, like Everton might have actually thrown themselves into the hat on the last day, just because why not? We might have got a bit more money for it, but there does come that tipping point where you're like, there's no, like the Balotelli thing to some extent, Chris, what are the intangible negatives of having your £30 million?
Look at, how many days before deadline day was it? Was it about a week?
Yeah, it was
about a week. You never know. Liverpool could have earmarked that money for a signing and not wanted to do it on deadline day. Definitely. And it might not have come off.
And the other one, and I know he ultimately ends up moving, but you don't want to end up in a Sissoko scenario where we're like, he's got his heart convinced on joining Palace. Palace are like, we're not budging on 28. David Moyes or whoever it would be from Sunderland rings, and he just turns his phone off. Yeah. We accept the 31, 32, Benteke goes missing because he knows in January Palace are going to buy him, and we're stuck with that. Yeah, exactly. So, but ultimately, I think the point does have to be raised. Balassi went for like 30,
I fully agree with you. I think had that run on till deadline day, we would have got more money. But I can totally understand why we've bit that.
Yeah. You can't go. And you're fucked, aren't you?
30. Okay, 27, it's 34 now because the market's changed. Yeah. And that's ultimately what happened towards the end of the window.
Yeah. The existing problem, look at the Sissoko stuff. The Spurs bid 14 million for him. Then Everton came in and ultimately, Newcastle ended up with the fee that they wanted for him all along for it. And you're right, you can play it goes both ways, doesn't it? But as you say, a broken fax on deadline day is all it takes. And then you're in January and you're selling him for 15 million because he's not played a single game of football. And everyone knows that you're not interested in selling him. So what I want to do is just quickly then, I will pass this to Aubrey if you wouldn't mind, Chris. I want to go through the signings and we'll do whether it's a win or I don't want to say a loss, but a green
positive
tick,
or a negative.
Yeah, a green tick for good business, and let's say a blue cross for indifferent or not so good. So Martin Skrtel, 5.5 million to Fenerbahce.
As big a green tick as you're going to see on that board.
Big green tick, please, Aubrey.
To be honest, isn't it?
Great. Joe Allen, 13 million to Stoke.
A little green tick.
Because I think we've talked about regrets or players that we could live to regret.
Let's grade them like John did because it's a bit easier for visually to see.
Is it?
Well, if we're going to start doing little green ticks, we need some kind of a scale.
Let's not overcomplicate it. Let's go on. We'll grade it.
Is A going to be?
It's a fucking A for Skrtel.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the Allen thing for me is one of those ones that we could regret because, and it was a point that Johnny's put together the stats for us, makes, does Joe Allen have a better start to the season than Gini Wijnaldum? I don't know whether he gets that assist against Arsenal.
Yeah, that's my one.
Which is ultimately what he's there for. But I think we'd see Joe Allen fits that position. That's Joe Allen's position.
No, I disagree. I think that, Klopp didn't like him as a player. He had chances at the end of last season where he wanted to start him in centre midfield and he just chose not to play him and he played other people out of position. Now, I'm not saying that that's Joe Allen's fault. I think Joe Allen's a really good footballer, but Klopp didn't see him in our side. And for that, it's a decent mark for me because you've got a player who doesn't fit into your system, who the manager doesn't fancy, and you've still managed to get 13 million. All that being said, he can go on and still have a great career, but he would never have had that great career at Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp.
Okay.
My opinion is there's no ill will towards him. I actually come to like him towards the end of last season. Played amazing for Wales. He wasn't going to do it for Liverpool for two factors. One, he doesn't play. Gini Wijnaldum's much more physical. You see him being stronger on the ball than Alan is. Two, Klopp's not going to pick him, so it doesn't matter. It's one of those Andy Carroll or Benteke arguments of they're scoring loads of goals for Palace and West Ham, yeah, but they're not going to be in the position to get that. I don't think we've ever seen an assist like what Wijnaldum got for Lallana in the opening day from Joe Allen.
And we've seen him miss loads of open goals as well.
Yeah.
But that being said, I just think, again, in terms of all-round play, I think there was a place for Joe Allen. Again, we haven't really discussed this, but if we'd had European football, I think you'd probably keep Joe Allen for
I
the
think
body.
he keeps Grujic out of the team though. Maybe. If you keep him. And I think Grujic has impressed massively in pre-season. So for another reason, another factor.
Okay.
I'd personally go like a B+.
Yeah.
Because I think you're right. If we've got European football, we probably do keep him around, but I still think that he's not getting in the side. And also, as you've just said there, he's going to keep players out. But finally on it, if it was 6 or 7 million quid, you'd probably keep him. But it's 13 million quid for a player that you don't want and aren't going to play.
And everyone knew we didn't want.
Yeah. And you're not necessarily, and I say this now because it's very early days in the season, but you're not gifting Stoke, you're not giving them like the Benteke thing's probably going to come back to haunt us because he always scores goals against us. Yeah. The Joe Allen thing,
will score from 3 yards out against us.
Joe Allen might well score against us, but the point is he's not going to get he's not going to get the goals and assists that puts Stoke above us in the league as such, yeah. So I think around a B.
Okay.
Yeah, A star, Jordan Ibe.
It's got to be.
An A+ or an A star?
Well, whatever.
Let's go with A+.
Yeah, I don't think it gets
you don't even need to talk about it.
Business doesn't get any
obvious.
better than selling Jordan Ibe for £15 million and putting a buyback clause in there. I don't think you can.
And a sell-on fee as well.
Really?
So even so I think it's something like 25% sell-on as well.
Similarly,
exactly the same.
Although I'm not sure I 100% agree with it, but we are short at left back. So does that come into it?
Yeah.
Is that good business when we've left ourselves short? Again, I suppose I think it's probably an A+ still.
Yeah. It's easier for you. That's
okay. But, questions will be asked. A lot of Liverpool fans will be going, why did we sell him when we need a left back?
If left us with...
Same point as me for Joe Allen is that if he's not going to play him and he's rather going to... If he's going to trust Milner over him or Moreno over him, what's the point in kicking him around?
If Smith's still in our squad, Milner's still playing at left back at the moment, I believe. Yeah. So you've got 6 million assets. But I think we probably would have looked to keep him, and then I think we were looking to move some of these players on. Definitely, like Scale's the best example of that. This guy was in a sort of limbo, and then a fax or a phone call from Bournemouth came over, and they were like, "Yeah, how much would you want for Smith? We've got about 6 million to spend." They're like, "Yeah, that's exactly what we were looking to spend." So that's just
And then he's probably going, "I could have fucking got 21 for fucking Ibe." Get fucking 6 million there. Yeah, fuck's sakes.
The Ross is the thing. If nothing else, for the money we received, and I know you're talking about a guy whose contract's run down. So technically, that's like if that was Kiravea, you'd be like, oh great, we got some money for Kiravea. It's the
Scouse connection. It's the affection that we all wanted for him to succeed, isn't it?
I always said Rossiter was never going to make it at Liverpool Football Club, but it's the management of that situation where we get to a point where we're getting 250k that's bad because we should have been getting at least £1 million for him, the very least. So as a footballer, I don't think he'll ever make it in the Premier League. I don't think he's ever that. I'd be surprised if he was a mid-table championship player by the end of his career, to be honest with you. But, mishandled the situation. I'd probably throw a C out there. Yeah. And it's not for the manager, it's for the club and how they've dealt with that and let that run down. Okay. See?
Yeah.
There we go. It's good business.
I think, again, it's the Sinclair stuff that informs this for me. And I know we've sold him to the Championship, and that's different. But I think 2.5 is probably a little low.
It's 4.5.
I know, but
potentially.
Yeah, exactly. Going to 4, but if you're talking about it, and if it ends up near a 4.5, then it's fine. But if it's around the 2.5, I think it's low for what he is.
An attacking centre mid who but he's more of a Joe Allen type than a...
I don't think that's true at all. He's a right winger.
He's a winger, isn't he? Yeah?
One appearance for us.
Yeah.
2.5 million's ridiculous. That's an A.
You think?
Honestly, yeah.
I would...
2.5 million rising to
The
4.5
buyback
million.
the buyback gives it a boost, definitely.
I would say probably a B on that, and more again for what happened around it, because he wanted to come back to Liverpool, remember, you know, and we brought him back, and then all of a sudden something's happened. He wasn't given a shot.
Well, he wanted
a stupid contract.
He wanted 50 grand a week or something. He wanted first team wages at Liverpool to stay.
So it was him. It was on him. He was
something's happened there behind the scenes. So
it's a minimum of a B.
I'm happy for a B on that. Oh, pardon me. £27 million for Benteke. Without context,
that's an A.
That's an A.
It's a B.
Because of the money that's been spent elsewhere, like we discussed, the Balassi money being the perfect example of it, and because of the fact that we've sold him within the league and he always scores goals against us, it could be. I think you could make a case for an A. I think it maybe gets knocked down just on the fear factor that it, you know, of what he could do to
I'm going to
us.
throw a mark out there, and I think it's a B+.
Okay. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that had kicked me up, we just spoke about it, we don't need to go over points. I think we sold him a little low, but also Man City had to loan Boney out to Stoke.
Yeah.
Because new manager, doesn't want him, doesn't fit his style of play, and varying complications along the way of player not wanting to join a club, fee being too high, wages being too high. He could be on a different board. Mm-hmm. Definitely old Liverpool business would have had Christian Benteke loaned to West Ham for a $2 million signing on fee, and we're probably taking $4 million in 2 years' time for him. Okay. So it is a good signing. I'm like, oh fuck, you look at Michy Batshuayi moving for the money he moved and the Balassi money, and you go, should that be a 3-0 next to his name? But
yeah, I think it's that, isn't it? Ultimately, if given the Palace tried to buy him for 15, it wasn't like people were knocking down our door with £30 million bids for him. The fact that you can only work with the offers that you've received. So yeah, I think you're right. I think B+ is fine on that. Alberto,
I'd say that's an A.
Yeah.
Didn't work. We're going to recruit.
He's the kind of player we'd have sold for £500,000 a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah. You'd have never even known.
Yeah.
You'd have never even known where you'd have got. Or he's Teixeira Mark II, isn't he? You look at like that progression of players, and it's probably like this summer's probably the end of those players because there's not that many of them left. You know, with Kainos leaving and Alberto, possibly Chiravella being the only one. But you've had your Pachecos, your Susos, your Kainos, your Albertos, who were bought to fit a certain type of model that isn't what Liverpool Football Club play like. It's not what the Premier League like. To get 4.3 million for him is really good business.
No, and rising as well, which is great.
So we're going just a straight up B?
Or an A?
I'd go with an A.
An A? Right.
Yeah.
Apologies. Okay.
So Mario Balotelli, I think for the reasons discussed, I'd put that as a C.
Chris is looking for more of an A+.
I don't see.
No, I'm saying.
I don't see you can give an A. I know, like I say, I 100% agree with every argument that you've put forward in terms of like just all of the disruption and the money off the wages, but
in a world where players are moving for money,
he is. If nothing else, that means we've paid £8 million a season for him.
Yeah.
I think you're looking at maybe a C or a C+.
I'd say C.
A C?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, letting Enrique go.
Still passed your exam. It's still a pass.
Yeah.
It's not a fail.
Yeah. Enrique going on a free, fine. Yeah, great. Colo, I think we'll see. That's in due course. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed with that. I really am.
He's my disappointment. He's the one I'd have kept around the squad.
I thought that until I saw how good Clavan's been and how good Matip's been so far. And the fact that you've now got Sacco is now what Torre was in the squad. Absolutely fine with that.
Again,
so yeah, I mean, ultimately, I don't even think we need to rate the Torre stuff.
If Sacco had gone out on loan on the deadline day, which Joey turned it down, didn't he? And we were doing this, and we were left with Joe Gomez, who's still not back in full training as our fourth choice, or Lucas stepping out of position. I'd have been saying it was a mistake to let Colo go.
Yeah.
But the fact that Sacco didn't go and hopefully he can work his way back into first team contention, I think it's not too bad.
Yeah.
So yeah,
cool.
so
Do we even need to give that a
I reckon a C.
Go
on.
Yeah, fine. Sinclair, A.
A.
Teixeira,
C.
Bigelow, whatever. So, and just quickly, we've only got a couple of minutes left to do this. Just the loans, or if you would care to display. No, it's fine. You can just hold it up for now if you want. Although it does have a space, a pride of place. It's now probably not on camera. Oh, good. Danny Ward, fine, I don't think we need to, let's not bother rating these as such, but Danny Ward, fine, championship loan, top of the championship right now.
Playing every game for them.
Much better loan than going to Aberdeen where he did really well
Getting
as well.
massive hugs off Wagner.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that we've got a championship loan for Bogdan. When you consider,
He saved the pen the other day.
Good on him.
But then the rebound went in.
Good
off his head.
The Kent one's
just so Bogdan, isn't it?
Kent one's fine. Barnsley definitely. We checked this, didn't we? Barnsley in the championship. That's
He's
fine.
playing well. He scored his
first goal. I think they're third in the championship as well.
Good for him. Alan Rodriguez, he was playing for the Brazil under-20s actually the other day against England, which is good to see. Fine. Hopefully he continues. Flanagan, that's
a big one.
I'm glad that he's got the Premier League loan move, because I think if he doesn't get the Premier League loan move, that's the end. That's definitely the end of John Flanagan. At least he's got the option to test himself at the higher level.
But I think the point Chris made about Smith, with us leaving us short at left back, this fella's got to come into the contention. You know, our backup, and I know it crosses over to the other part, but by loaning him out, we've left Milner and Moreno as our left backs, and Randall and Trent Alexander-Arnold as our backup right backs.
I think it tells you.
I think it comes down to the squad that we're going to use this season. You know, you came up with this idea of how many players we're going to use in a season, and you know, if everything goes well, we're not going to use John Flanagan. If we get injuries, which I don't think you should 100% legislate for through a long season, he might have played 3 games this season, or he might have played none. And if Klopp really thinks he's got a chance at Liverpool Football Club, then he's got to go out and get games under his belt.
I think Lloyd Jones is done.
Nearly 2 years out, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's done. Lloyd Jones, by all accounts. At least it's a decent loan for Swindon. We've had some good returns off them. At least we're selling players to them when we're done with them. Better than being at Blackpool again. Andre Wisdom, I think that's the end of him, isn't it? Salzburg, fine. Good to see him getting a different type of loan, though. You know, at least that offers up a whole new range of scouts to him.
Yeah.
To go and have a look.
I hope he's paid for a tom-tom to get himself to and from the stadium. Don't want any more problems where he gets lost in woods or anything in his car.
Finally, Lazar Markovic. I'm exactly what you said there. I'll be disappointed that if he's not wanted, what's the point? You know, again, just final question on this. If Liverpool have got European football, do we keep Lazar Markovic this season, or was he always on the way out, do we think?
I think he was always on the way out, just based on the fact of how little we saw of him in the pre-season. You know, when he played in the Northwest tour of the pre-season, when all the players who played at the Euros weren't there, the minute that the bigger names came back, he just was gone, wasn't he? And
I wonder how much the impact, we talk about the Balotelli influence, how much the influence of him on Marko Grujic might be. You know, both the Serbian lads, they'll obviously be good mates. We know they've got a little bit of a bromance going on as well.
Big bromance.
But you know, when Klopp talks about having the right attitude and like banging on his door and being angry that you're not in the team, you do wonder what Markovic doesn't have. And if you've got one guy, you've got 2 best mates, and one of them's that. Yeah. You wonder whether that could impact the work rate of Grujic. So maybe there's a whole lot of contributing factors. But I think I think we'll be looking for £10 million. If we get 10 million for him next summer, I think that'll be fine. And if you then go and take that and spend that on Pulisic or something like that, then that's good business all around. But yeah, we will talk about that. The transfers the players that we actually brought in, and some of the failed transfers. You know, a little bit more about Gerton and Pulisic and Dahoud, Digne as well, and I think 1 or 2 others. But that'll be in part 2. If you've enjoyed part 1, let us know your thoughts on that. If you want to leave us your ratings, you can do in the comments underneath, or you can email us, or you can tweet us in as well. Part 2 will be available on the redmentv.com exclusively. Go over there now and watch it. It promises to be like this, only even better. So that's worth the time.
It's a definite A+.
That's a definite A+. Well done. Cheers.